Hi class, this is Richard Alvarez Brown speaking. This is a summary of an article found on the website 538.com. The title of the article is Student Loans Are Too Expensive to Forgive, and it's authored by Amanda Paleshi. The article initially sets a tone by explaining the federal government's current student loan debt crisis, particularly related to graduate student loans. Legislators are currently trying to solve the growing problem. In 2007, the loans were predicted to cost about $4 billion dollars. Instead, the cost went from $1.4 billion dollars to $11.5 billion dollars from 2011 to 2015. The article gives a description of one of the current programs called PSLF, or Public Service Loan Forgiveness. Under this program, a student that plans on being employed in a public service job after school would only have to pay the loan back up to 10 years. After 10 years of payment based off of what's called their discretionary income, the rest of the loan is forgiven. According to a PSLF presentation referenced in our article, about 30% of PSLF borrowers borrowed more than $100,000. The median debt income was $60,000. The GOP has presented a new program called the Prosper Act. I've heard a little bit about this program. Prosper stands for Promoting Real Opportunity, Success, and Prosperity Through Education Reform. This program is designed to get rid of the multiple current ones, such as PSLF, and create just a single program. If you know government, you know that almost any process for anything is complicated and involves a bunch of red tape. This program is supposed to streamline the loan process. The Prosper Act differs because it'll put a $150,000 cap on graduate student loans. The Prosper Act also only offers two loan repayment programs, one having no loan forgiveness involved. A downfall of the program is that universities believe this program will deter attractive students due to costs. I will now pass the slide deck to the next presenter.
Hi, my name is Jean Flowers, and I'm here to talk about what I like on our article report. As you have heard from Richard, our topic is about student loan being too expensive to forgive. What I really like about this article is the author's references to all the supporting articles, which uses several statistics in colorful graphical presentations. I am going to show you some of those interesting graphs. The first one is a line graph, which is on your screen right now. It's about the estimated historical income for randomly selected sample of direct loan borrowers. What is interesting on these line graphs are the way the presenter was able to show the different status of the borrower throughout the life of the loan or repayment years. One is a bubble chart, which was discussed in Chapter 3 of our textbook. The chart is showing the different type of student loans. The size of the bubble indicates the size of the subsidy that a particular loan is receiving. The bigger the bubble, the bigger the subsidy. On this case, consolidated loans is the one that receiving the most subsidy at $43.5 billion. The last clustered column, which shows the comparison between the original and current estimated loan volume and subsidy rates. And by looking at this graph, we can see the difference between the original and the current estimate. That's all. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Rebecca Harmon and I will be discussing and critiquing the article. During this article we have learned a lot, and I think before we begin to dissect it and critique it, we need to understand the context. And during this time, this article is coming from a Republican standpoint, where we have a Republican in the presidency as well as the House being ran by Republicans. So could this article be biased? It poses questions to where one would gather, well, maybe it's going towards a specific group and it isn't looking at the overall picture, and it is being extremely subjective as opposed to being objective. So what message does this article portray to the reader? Well, if they are going to be ridding this loan forgiveness program, it's ultimately going to affect many people because a number of students that are going to school are going into fields where they can work at nonprofits to get these high rates of loans forgiven so they don't have to pay back so much money. Also, the loans are also income-based repay, so depending on the amount that they're receiving from their employer is going to dictate how much they're going to pay back. So in a sense, this article can be portrayed as negative, specifically because if the loan forgiveness program is going to be eliminated, it's ultimately going to affect those that utilize this specific loan forgiveness program for that reason altogether. So, could it be the end error for the forgiveness program? And could we be looking at this Prosper Act, which ultimately would put a cap on the amount that you can borrow altogether? Many people can't afford to pay for their education, let alone they don't have the luxury of parents paying for them or other means. So, loans are very critical when it comes to college and especially grad students, such as everyone involved in this course, because we are trying to excel to the next level and be those professionals. So, it's very impactive and it's very significant because if you're working for a firm that has these loan forgiveness programs, ultimately you have to think, well, how is this going to affect me? If this is no longer here, how am I going to pay back my loan? So this article is very imperative because it not only focuses on the loan forgiveness program, but it's giving us the new act that they're trying to propose, which is the Prosper Act. So we just have to see, is this article bias or are we looking too much into it?
One of the key takeaways from this article as it relates to this class is how bad data and poor modeling played a role in the breakdown of the loan forgiveness program. Policymakers did not correctly estimate the number of students who would take advantage of these programs, and therefore budget estimates were more than double the amount originally projected. A study conducted in 2016 by the Government Accountability Office found that the Department of Education's approach to estimating income-driven repayment plan costs and quality control practices did not ensure reliable budget estimates. For example, the Department of Education's modeling assumed that borrowers' income would not grow with inflation. When inflation was incorporated into the forecast, costs fell by over $17 billion. The study conducted by the Government Accountability Office also found that the Department of Education tested only one assumption for reasonableness. This was against the normal recommended federal guidance on estimating loan costs. In their report, the Government Accountability Office made the following recommendations to improve the quality of income-driven repayment plan budget estimates. These include adjusting borrower income forecasts for inflation, completing planned model revisions and ensuring that they generate reasonable predictions of participation trends, and testing key assumptions. This concludes the article analysis for Group 4. If you'd like to read more on the article that was presented, a link has been provided. Thank you for your time.